Good morning, everyone. I think we're going to get started now. Welcome to our session. My name is Warren Chen, and I'm here with my colleague, Kelly Anderson. We're both part of the ISV Technical Evangelist team. So it wouldn't be a Salesforce session or a Salesforce conference without a forward-looking statement. So we might be talking about some things that are not publicly available or generally available. Please make your decisions off of what is actually GA. So quickly, before I get started, Salesforce goes through rebranding exercises every once in a while. It's happened with analytics a few times, Analytics Cloud, Wave Analytics. Well, we actually just rebranded a couple of weeks ago to be called Einstein Analytics. So it's all the same thing, all the same products, no differences, just a new name, new logo. Quickly, what we're going to talk about today, talk a little bit about the benefits of Einstein Analytics. Kelly is going to demo some functionality and features that we expect our partners to really be excited about and make use of. And then for those of you who might not be familiar with the ISV Partner Program, talk a little bit about the benefits of the program and how you can kind of get started building analytics apps for the Appexchange. So quickly, there's an explosion of customer data, with all the devices, all the different, data that's being collected from things out there. There's just an explosion of customer data. So whether it's emails, tweets, your Fitbit data, all of this is being collected, and it's estimated that about 50 terabytes of data is collected per second. And what's even more amazing is 70% of that is customer data. And that customer data is being collected in all of the different applications that businesses are using, whether it's HR, ERP, or CRM. All this data is being collected, but most companies aren't doing a good job of utilizing it effectively to drive business decisions. About 1% of that data is being used effectively for generating insights and for helping to drive their business decisions going forward. And this is largely because the data is spread across many separate legacy systems. Those systems are not necessarily easy to get access to. You need a very highly trained DBA or a data scientist to extract, collect, cleanse, and do all the preparation for the data to actually start generating insights against. What this really allows us to do with Einstein Analytics is to kind of close that gap, especially for those customers, those software companies that are built on the Salesforce platform. So kind of how does this happen? There's kind of four main pillars to what and why Einstein Analytics is perfect for analytics on the Salesforce platform. So the first is it's native. So any data that's within Salesforce is really easy and really quick to get into Einstein Analytics. We're adding more and more intelligence, partially why we rebranded the product. One of those features is Einstein Data Discovery. It's fast. So once you get the data in there, you can start playing around with that data, exploring that data, generating insights pretty much on the fly as you're doing some of the extraction, some of the cleansing, some of the slicing and dicing, and as you're generating these as you're generating these insights, you can actually take action against it. And Kelly will show a feature that we're really excited about that allows you to do this really easily. And lastly, as we do with all of our products, we think about mobility right from the beginning. So right when we launched Analytics Cloud, Einstein Analytics 3 years ago, there was a mobile app for it, and that's continuing to improve as well. So I've talked about some of the great features, some of the great benefits. So what does this really allow you to do? So similar to what we did with Force.com, where we allowed developers to spend less time kind of figuring out the plumbing and focusing on their IP, focusing on their actual application, Einstein Analytics allows you to do the same thing when it comes to generating insights. So instead of having to manage and manipulate your data, cleanse it, figure out how to generate your OLAP data cubes, a lot of that's going to be hidden from you. What we want you to be able to do is load your granular row-level data into Salesforce, into Einstein Analytics Cloud, Einstein Analytics, and actually slice and dice, cleanse, do some of that transformation in the tool with our UI, because this will allow you to actually generate insights, learn about your data while you're building the actual KPIs that you might want to deliver to a customer or to your business constituents. So quickly, we're getting a lot of accolades out there in the market. We have a lot of great customer success. We're getting a lot of market leadership through Gartner, and a lot of publications are kind of trumpeting those successes, and we're winning a lot of industry awards. And to kind of highlight this,
it keeps flickering.
Yeah.
And it's off now.
There we go. Okay, so to highlight this, we made a big move in the Gartner Magic Quadrant. So we moved from basically the niche player. Let me try it again. Niche player to the visionaries, really just in the last year. And our expectation is we're going to make a movement from visionary up to leaders this year. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Kelly and talk about some of the great features that you can start utilizing to build apps.
Perfect. Thanks, Warren. So Warren talked to you guys a little bit about Einstein Analytics and what it is. We did used to call it Wave, so if I say Wave like 20 times, I apologize, know what it is. Feel free to call me out on it, count how many times it's going to happen. So it is a full-featured platform for building analytics apps, right? And net, yes, that's reports, that's dashboards, but it's a lot more than that. Today, we don't have time to get into everything. So what I'm going to focus on are 2 features that our ISV partners should be using when they're building an app for the Appexchange. Do we have any ISV current partners? A few? Cool. Anyone here already used Einstein Analytics before? Seen it, played with it, built it? Trailheads. We've done some trailheads. Okay. So I'm not going to really have time to cover the basics, but come grab us after. We can show you anything you want to learn into. But the first thing I really want to talk to you about is something called analytics templates. This is the way and the technology that our ISV partners will use to build these dashboards and publish them out to their customers. So what is it? The name probably sounds like you probably know what it is. It's a template that then your customers' end results, probably dashboards or series of dashboards, get created off of. So you as a developer, you build your assets, right? And most likely that's dashboards, a series of dashboards that link together. You put in what UI you think should be there, what reports, what graphics, which chart types that you think should be. You put in there the ability to filter this data down, what you imagine the best practices should be for your use case, right? Maybe you're an HR company and you want to have an analytics app that helps a company analyze flight risk for employees. And so you build that solution and you want to get it out to your customers. Inevitably, your customers are going to want to customize your dashboards, right? They want to see it maybe in a different way. Maybe they use different fields. And so the only way to allow a customer to do that is through this technology we're calling templates. So the flow, it'll pop up here in a minute maybe, is that you build your dashboard, you turn it into what's a template. Yes, all packaging is the same. So you will use managed packages just like you use today. Now, your end customer has this nice little wizard. It baby steps them through customizing your application, right? And it does that in a question-answer kind of set. You as developers build these questions, right? You determine what of your dashboard your end customers can customize. That may be a lot. That may be nothing. It's 100% up to you. So a good use case would be maybe on your dashboard, you are showing a graph, a geograph of accounts, and you're mapping them by an address, right? You may map them by, say, shipping city. But what if your customer doesn't use that field? What if they use billing city? What if they use a completely custom field that's not there? You can ask them in your set what they use. And then when their instance of your application gets created, it takes their answers and it builds that customization so that their end dashboard is what they expect it to be. Now, if you have built anything with Einstein Analytics before, you know it's all JSON-based. So the way data comes into analytics, the way dashboards are built, in the background, it's a JSON definition file. So templates are no different. You've got access to about 4 new definition files that control this templating process, and I'll show you what those look like. They're pretty self-explanatory. The template info is just kind of pairing together the template for you. Variables are these question-answer pairs. Like I said, you may have 4 questions, you may have 400. It's really up to you. The UI, maybe you don't like our little wizard-based UI and you want to add images in there, you want to add Visualforce pages, you can do that. And then this rules engine. This rules file is really cool. It allows you to define rules that the customer's org have to meet in order for your app to get created. Maybe you want to make sure that they have access to a field that your dashboard needs. You can put that as a rule engine. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. And another big point is that all this is upgradable. So if you are an ISV and you have packages, you probably know that you need to be able to upgrade them and continue to innovate. This technology lets you do that. So I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, so this is the Analytics UI. You launch it from a tab in Lightning, you launch it from a tab in Classic, and it pops this up. So the use case I have here is I'm a customer, and I've purchased a partner's application via templates. I want to show you what the experience is like from the customer endpoint, because I think it makes more sense. So they come in here and create an app. And this kickstarts that entire wizard process. So what your customer will see are all of the templates that they've bought from other partners or from Salesforce themselves. So I have in here an app I've created called a partner template because I'm not very creative with naming. It's very basic, so I'm not going to show you this one. I'm going to show you Sales Analytics instead. If this sounds familiar, this is the exact same technology that Salesforce used ourselves to create Sales Wave, which is now Sales Analytics, Service Wave, which is Service Analytics, or the event monitoring app, right? So Salesforce ourselves also build analytics apps and sell. So you have access to the same technology. So all of these steps in this wizard, that's what that UI file controls. So you can change this, have Visualforce pages in here, Lightning components, really make it your own. So I'm going to quickly step through a few of these steps. I'm going to create a brand new app. I could upgrade an existing app that I've already created. Not going to do that. This is checking my rules engine, right? This is running against my file, and if any of the rules that I've built in my template fail, it's going to tell the customer they have to go fix something, like make sure that the user has access to a field, check FLS, all those types of things. This is up to you as a development partner to have this in here. Also, so there's 2 choices here. You build the template with default settings, right? And your customer may choose your default settings. They can do that. But they can also decide if they want to customize your app. So I'm going to quickly walk through here. You can give them choices to select different objects, all kinds of different things you can do. But this is that wizard flow. So this particular template has 10 steps. That may seem like a lot to you. It may seem not. It's up to you. So these are the types of questions you may ask your customer to customize the end result. So this first one is asking how my customers segment accounts. And the default is account type. I'm going to leave that here. The second one is asking, well, how else do you segment accounts? Well, by default, I've got industry, but I can select another field on the account object. I'm going to leave these here too because I want to show you the end result, what happens. So your customer would continue through the steps. I'm going to quickly go through these because it has a lot of questions. They would name the app. We'll just call it a test app. And now what happens is behind the scenes, we take your customer's answers to those questions and mix it with your template, and it goes off and it builds all the resources it needs. This can take 30 seconds. It could take a few minutes. So I'm not going to wait on this one. I'm going to show you one I already created. So I'm kind of just back in Lightning, and I have this app called Trailhead DX app, which I've misspelled trail. No, actually, I did. I put an extra D in there. That's awesome. And so this is what that process creates. If you haven't seen Sales Wave app, or Sales Analytics, this is what it looks like. You can build anything that's in here, right? These are some pretty graphical dashboards. They're pretty. But this particular performance by geography dashboard, you see these fields here, account type, industry. Those were the first 2 questions I asked my customer. So this is how you can allow your customer to pick the filters that they want. Now, I've talked about filters, right? Maybe they didn't want account type, they picked something else. This is where that comes into play. But that you can allow them to do things like, maybe you've put a bar chart in your dashboard. You can ask your customer if they want it vertical or horizontal, if they want it in a different place on the dashboard altogether. So you can build these variables into your set. So that's templates. Oh, actually, I was going to show you one more thing, if it allows me. So I mentioned those files. I'm not going to walk through the code, but in like your Explorer, there's a new folder type called Wave Template. So our product hasn't been told that we renamed it yet, so you will see Wave kind of all over the actual product code. But here are those different files, and here's my variable file. So again, it's all JSON, and you would just allow them to select different things. So we don't have time to walk through the code. We're happy to do that at some point later. But I wanted to show you one other feature before I hand it back over to Warren. And before I do that, I mentioned this earlier, as soon as this works. Let me just exit. Okay, so packaging. Packaging is the same. If you're an ISV and you have an app today, you know what packaging is. All of that works the exact same way with any analytics asset, so you will still go to market the same direction. You still have the ability to do upgrades. You still have the ability to control license access to your application. You can still offer trials through Trialforce with this technology. And you can also still list your specific analytics app on the Appexchange. All right, so the last feature that I want to talk about is the Analytics Web SDK. So this is a very powerful new feature that just came out in summer. And what this does is fully integrate those dashboards, those analytics assets, into the entire flow of your Force.com application or any third-party application. So it allows it to be actionable within a Lightning component, with Visualforce, with any other element on the page. And I'm going to show you what this looks like. And the way it does it is it has like a conversation back and forth with other elements. And it does that through events. We have 2 new kind of event messages that go out. And these have not been told it's been renamed to Einstein Analytics either. So it is actually Wave Update. So Wave Update is if you are in a Lightning component, your user's in a Lightning component working around, it could send this update to a Wave dashboard so that the UI updates. If your user is clicking around on a Wave dashboard, that Wave can send this Wave selection change criteria to a Lightning component, and it can update itself. So the way that looks is so the use case I have here is I'm a healthcare provider, and I'm trying to analyze. Oh, that's ugly, isn't it? I'm trying to analyze my healthcare providers. So this is a Lightning page. It has several components on here. This middle one here, this is a Wave. This is a Wave. This is an analytics dashboard, right? Over here, we have a Lightning component. Down here, we also have Lightning components. These are custom built. So if I am analyzing here and I want to look at Dr. Martin and I'm clicking on a Lightning component, you will see real time my dashboard update because it knows that I have clicked within my Lightning component. The reverse is true. Maybe I take a look at my my Einstein Analytics dashboard, and I notice that Patrick O'Hare happens to have a very high blood sugar level. And I click on his record. What you'll notice is that real time, I've got my Lightning components updated. This one here recognizes that I've selected on Patrick, and down here I'm displaying Patrick's contact record. Again, very basic use cases, but you can start to see Einstein Analytics dashboards fully interacting with the page. I also have a component in here to maybe create an activity based upon Patrick as well. So if I wanted to schedule a follow-up call with him for new blood work, I could. So in a nutshell, that is a very poor UI. Yes, absolutely. Yes. So a dashboard is made up of a series of lenses. So you could have a dashboard with one lens is the way to do that.
But you don't have to turn it into a dashboard.
You do.
Oh, you do?
You do. Okay, so last slide I have is just about some future things coming.
Yeah, we tried that too.
Okay. Some stuff to look out for. Oh, wow, that's really bad. I'll just talk through it. So that wizard that your end user walked through, So there's some new functionality coming out to where they have a preview of it so that they don't have to build the end asset to see what their selections to your questions are going to do. They could see a snapshot. Embedding the wizard. So that wizard, you saw me walk through it within the Einstein Analytics UI. We want to be able to let you take that wizard and embed it somewhere else, within Force.com, within a Visualforce page, within Lightning, within a third-party application. The last two ones, analytics extensions allow you to create like an analytics widget that plugs and plays into another analytics app, like sales analytics, service analytics. What if your customer wants to take something that you've built and put that in there? And then stored queries. If you've built anything so far, you know that you have full control over the queries that run those dashboards. You can build your own, very, very complex. This lets you store them, it protects the IP, and you can reuse them in other dashboards in other lenses. All right, over to Warren.
Great. Thanks, Kelly. Thanks, Kelly.
He's doing it.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. So quickly, we mentioned that after we kind of talked about the features, we're going to talk a little bit about the ISV program, how you can kind of get started. So Kelly mentioned this and talked about the managed package. That technology is kind of one of the key technologies that drives our whole program. It enables a lot of things that makes our partners kind of be able to quickly sell, distribute, support their customers the same way that Salesforce does. So because of that managed package technology that basically contains your metadata, contains all the IP, all the logic, all the dashboards that you've created, it allows you to do things like provision trials for your customers. You can basically take that managed package, put it into what we call a TrialForce org, use that, configure it, add some data, and use that for demos. Use that as a leave behind with your prospects so that they can play around with it, with your application yourself. You probably want to manage licenses, manage how many people at your customers or at a prospect has access to a trial or to your actual production application. We have license management that's tied to the managed package. You're going to probably come up with new features, new functionality. Kelly mentioned that. Wave templates or analytics templates are packageable and upgradable, so we have functionality that allows you to push those upgrades to your customers. And lastly, you're going to probably want to be able to help your customers, whether it's more from a using your application perspective or potentially to troubleshoot some issues. Using the managed package, using what we call the login as feature, we give you that capability as well. So, being part of the program gives you a lot of other benefits besides just being able to utilize our technologies, the underlying platform technologies. Secondly, for those of you who are familiar with our ISV program, it seemed like there was about a third of you that were building, and the programs that are associated with analytics apps for the Appexchange are the exact same as Force.com. So we have kind of two different models, and I'll explain them real quickly. One is what we call ISV Force. So this is for partners who are basically selling to a joint customer that Salesforce already has. So they already have, in this case, Einstein Analytics. You are just building your dashboards, you're building your IP, your analytics template, and you're distributing it to them. The second model, which is also very prevalent, is what we call the OEM model, where you're selling to a net new customer of, in this case, Einstein Analytics, so you're giving them access to the underlying platform. It's a little bit limited compared to what we would distribute from a direct standpoint, but it'll give them access to Einstein Analytics plus whatever IP, plus those dashboards that you've created, so that they can make use of your solution. So in 20 minutes, we can only cover so much. The program has a lot to offer. The technology has a lot to offer. So kind of where can you get started? So there's kind of two main places. The first is if you want to learn about becoming a partner, go to Appexchange Partner Program, so p.force.com/ISV. The second is if you want to start your analytics journey, one of our colleagues created a great kind of how-to get started guide. If you go to p.force.com/analyticscloud, you can find it there. Part of it is the trailheads that you see below, but it also has links to all the public documentation. It has links to some other guidance and best practices that we have, links to the latest release notes as well. So thank you very much, and we have a little bit of time for some Q&A. Yes.
On the OEM model, do they need to be a Salesforce
So
customer?
we can talk about that. So ideally, yes, because Analytics Cloud really works best when there's data in their Force.com data store. But there are ways where they could be completely net new, and we can work through something. So if they are OEM and they're completely net new to Salesforce, it's probably going to be something where it's like Force.com plus Analytics Cloud. It wouldn't be just OEM of like Analytics Cloud licenses or Einstein Analytics licenses.
When you build and sell a template to them,
Mm-hmm.
does that include the data loader?
Yeah. So the data flow that's scheduled, the replication engine behind it, all of that's included. And in the OEM model, you get up to 25 million rows of data into the Analytics Cloud data store or the Einstein Analytics data store.
They're selecting the fields, etc. That goes in, that gets plugged into the data flow.
Yeah, that will kind of configure the data flow for how you want to pull the data into the data sets in Einstein Analytics. Any other questions? External data. So there is support for that within the OEM model as well. You saw that it said restricted. We just need to talk about and understand what those external data sources are. And partially there's certain data providers who are careful about where they want their data, so we need to make sure that it's okay. And there's certain data sources or data providers that we might have other relationships with. So we just need to talk about and understand what that is. But that's not a problem as well. You can load external data as part of your solution to drive your dashboards as well. Yeah, you don't have to get into Salesforce. You can go directly into analytics. And what I will say is, with some other features that are coming out in the winter release and beyond, there's going to be other places where you can potentially pull data, and there's some actual features about being able to ingest data kind of more in an automatic fashion from other types of data stores outside of, Heroku, Salesforce, Big Objects, which is pilot right now. So there's some things that are coming that the Wave teams or the Einstein Analytics team is working on that front as well.
There's some questions over here.
Go.
We already have a contract as an OEM. Do we need to get a change?
So it's going to be an amendment because this is new technology. There is a new license that's associated with it. It's not a whole new contract, but we need to kind of work through like the normal check review and security review because it's going to be it's going to be a new extension package. So there is some things that need to happen, but it's not a full new contract. It's more of a contract amendment that we need to agree upon for this new functionality.
What was the
You wanna answer
question?
that? Can you repeat the question?
Analytical Einstein dashboard, a web dashboard. Still using the extended metadata and SQL and all those things. There's no UI or anything like that yet.
Still not yet.
Oh.
Yeah, still the same.
So yes and no. So there are some tools that make it a little easier to change some to do some of that through more drag and drop. They're going to continue to enhance it. So I think there's a pilot for it right now, I believe, and then I think in winter there's going to be a GA version where that becomes a little bit easier, where you can kind of manage your data, do some of that instead of having to go into JSON, you can kind of do it more through drag and drop. I think that's what you're kind of asking, right?
Yeah, I mean, like we equal everything.
Oh, you're talking about the SACL itself. So the SACL, you're always going to there is going to be a SACL editor to make it a little bit easier to do that as well and allow you to kind of test. They did. So Pequel was back when it was still kind of EdgeSpring, right after we acquired them. It's kind of been called SACL since we actually launched the product officially as Wave Analytics at Salesforce. Okay, we can take some more questions, but I think we have another colleague who's going to be presenting soon. So we'll be right over here in the back.